Welcome back to my channel as we dive deep into one of the most intense and emotionally charged moments in recent WWE history, a moment that has left the entire WWE Universe divided, confused, and desperate for answers. What really happens when the so-called architect finally confronts the man he once called brother with accusations that could shatter everything they built together? What if the person hiding behind the mask, the figure responsible for the chaos, isn't who the world has been led to believe? Seth Rollins has now stepped forward and publicly accused Dean Ambrose of being the mysterious attacker who changed the course of the WarGames match, but Ambrose's reaction and words have only deepened the mystery and forced everyone to reconsider everything they thought they knew. If you're not already subscribed, now is the time to do so, because what is unfolding right now is far more layered, emotional, and unpredictable than anyone ever imagined. For weeks, the WWE Universe has been obsessed with uncovering the identity of the masked man who brutally attacked CM Punk and ultimately tipped the balance of the WarGames match against Roman Reigns' team. Every small detail, every movement, every hint was carefully analyzed by fans and superstars alike. All signs appeared to point toward Dean Ambrose. The way the attacker moved, the timing of the assault, and the personal history with those involved all made Ambrose look like the prime suspect. The mystery grew darker with each passing week, and confusion turned into frustration as no clear answers were given. Tonight, however, Seth Rollins decided that waiting was no longer an option. He took the situation into his own hands, confronting his former Shield brother in a moment that was filled with raw emotion, anger, heartbreak, and unanswered questions. For Seth Rollins, this confrontation was about far more than simply proving someone's guilt. It was about searching for the truth behind what could be considered one of the most painful betrayals in WWE history. This wasn't just another storyline or rivalry to him. This was deeply personal. His name, his loyalty, his past, and his future were all on the line. Seth Rollins has built his career on strategy, discipline, and intelligence, but this time, it was emotion driving his actions. He needed to hear the truth directly from the one man who knew him better than almost anyone else. He needed to stand face to face with Dean Ambrose and force the answers out, regardless of the consequences. Everything built toward an explosive moment when Seth Rollins suddenly stormed the ring during an interview segment that featured Dean Ambrose. The atmosphere inside the arena shifted instantly. Fans could feel that something serious was about to unfold. Rollins didn't waste time with formalities or subtle hints. The tension was immediately apparent as he got right into Ambrose's personal space and made his accusation known for the entire world to hear. With anger burning in his voice, Seth declared that he knew it was Ambrose behind the mask. He pointed out the movements, the timing, and the precision of the attack, insisting that everything matched Ambrose perfectly. To Seth, the pieces of the puzzle fit too well to ignore. In his mind, the evidence was overwhelming. But what happened next was not the reaction anyone expected. Instead of exploding in anger, breaking down in guilt, or desperately trying to defend himself with panic in his voice, Dean Ambrose laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not a forced laugh. It was calm, confident, and almost mocking. That laugh alone immediately shifted the tone of the entire confrontation. It was the kind of reaction that instantly makes you question whether your assumptions are correct. Ambrose looked directly at Seth and questioned his accusation with icy disbelief. He suggested that Seth was so desperate for answers that he was willing to turn on the one person who would never betray him in that way. Ambrose stepped closer, closing the distance between them, and with intense eye contact denied everything outright. He declared that he did not attack CM Punk. He insisted that he did not sabotage their team at WarGames. Then, just when it seemed like the tension could not possibly increase any further, he dropped a cryptic bomb that stunned both Seth Rollins and the entire WWE Universe. Ambrose claimed he knew who the real attacker was, and that the truth, when revealed, would destroy everything Seth believed about their brotherhood and their past. That statement alone added an entirely new and chilling layer to the entire mystery. Until this point, the story was simple in most people's minds. Either Dean Ambrose was guilty, or the evidence was misleading. But Ambrose's confident denial and his claim of knowing the real culprit suddenly expanded the scope of the situation in a shocking way. His emotional response felt real. His outrage seemed genuine. His composure suggested that he was not a man caught in a lie, but rather a man being falsely accused. That leaves the WWE Universe facing two terrifying possibilities. Either Ambrose is telling the absolute truth, or he has become such a master manipulator that he can lie without even flinching, convincing not just the fans, but even Seth Rollins himself. What makes this situation even more compelling is the deep and complicated history between Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. These two men were once inseparable. They fought side by side as brothers in the Shield. They shared victories, defeats, betrayals, and redemption arcs that defined their careers. Seth knows Dean's mannerisms better than almost anyone. That means Seth's accusation could be based on genuine insight and real clues that only someone that close would notice. On the other hand, that same history also makes Seth vulnerable to emotional manipulation. If someone wanted to frame Ambrose to create maximum chaos, targeting Seth's emotions and trust would be the most effective way to do it. Ambrose's claim that he knows the true identity of the attacker opens the door to even darker and more unsettling possibilities. Could the person responsible be someone from their inner circle? Could it be someone both Seth and Dean once trusted with their lives in the ring? The idea that the real culprit might be hiding in plain sight makes the mystery even more disturbing. If Ambrose truly knows the truth, but is choosing not to reveal it yet, that raises even more questions. Is he protecting someone? Is he waiting for the right moment to expose them? Or is he setting a trap that will shock everyone when it finally springs? Seth Rollins, meanwhile, now finds himself in a brutal emotional conflict. He came into the confrontation convinced that he was facing the man who cost his team the match and assaulted CM Punk. He expected either a confession or a defensive outburst that would confirm his suspicions. Instead, he walked away with even more uncertainty than he started with. The man he accused stood his ground with absolute confidence, denied everything, and claimed that a far more devastating truth is still waiting to be uncovered. Seth is now forced to question whether his instincts are correct or whether he has been led into a trap designed to break him emotionally. This confrontation was not just about solving a mystery. It was about trust, loyalty, and the fragile bonds that exist between former allies. The Shield was built on the idea of unbreakable brotherhood. To even suggest that one member of that iconic trio might have carried out such a calculated attack